Where's the computer? All right, welcome everybody in the ASEA family. We have people from all over the world here this morning with us. And I'm really excited because what we're going to be learning about today, or actually the person we're going to be learning from, is someone that is near and dear to my heart. Dr. David Silverman is going to be with us this morning, and he is actually the person that opened my mind to what these products were and how powerful they were. After I had a powerful experience with using them, 3 months into it, I got relief from things that had been an issue for 2 years that I had after a really severe accident. And I got on the phone with Dr. Silverman, and he started to explain what this was and how it worked. And my mind just lit up with the potential of what that meant for every other person that could use this, because it does something different for all of us. And I absolutely love that in the chat, as we were getting started this morning, we were having conversations of what each and every one of you has seen with this, and everyone was sharing something different, as well as the different products that ASEA has. Many of you were talking about the ASEA Via line and how much you enjoy that. And others were talking about the skincare line and the Renew Advanced serum, which is fabulous. So the way we're going to do this morning, Dr. Silverman has just popped in. Welcome. Good to see you. And we're both in sunny Florida, but it's a little chilly. So we both, I can see, have sweaters on, unseasonable weather now. But what I'd like to do is kind of talk with Dr. Silverman a little bit, because I think some of you haven't had the chance to meet him. I'm going to ask him a few questions so you can get to know him, his experience with the products. And what we would love you to do is, while I'm having that conversation with him, if you want to put your questions in the chat, we have Alyssa Favreau on here with us. She is going to be taking your questions and streamlining them so that when we get to the Q&A part, we can easily just run through as many questions as we can and tap into the amazing brilliance that we have with Dr. Silverman this morning. So David, welcome, and it's great to see you.
Hi, Danielle. Good to see you too. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. It is chilly, that's for sure. And I love seeing you on Zoom. I love the dragonflies behind you. I know there's a meaning to it, but it is such a cool thing, especially they're like turning the corner on the wall there. I love it.
I know, that's all my mom. So for those of you that don't know, dragonflies have a big significance. They represent transformation and being a positive life force. And I feel like that is what we do here at ASEA. We transform people's lives, and we are certainly a positive change in this world. And I love being a part of it. So yeah. David, thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. And Alyssa, I know you're in the background there. How are you? I hope you're well.
She's got her little ones running around. she's multitasking at the moment. Yeah. So David, if you could share with us, give us some insight into your background and how you initially came across ASEA.
Well, real briefly, I'm 61 years old. My wife and I are married 33 years. We live in Florida more than half the year now, in South Florida, but Maryland is where I grew up. Maryland is where I had my podiatry and foot surgery practice and ambulatory surgery center. So Maryland was my home for most of my life. I was introduced to ASEA at the end of 2010 by a friend, not a colleague, not a doctor, just a dear friend who was an interior decorator, who said to me, the original statement was at a cafe, looking in my eyes kind of nervously. She looked a little nervous. I didn't know why, but she said, "David, I love you." And I didn't know what that meant. It was either she wanted me to leave my wife, or something bad was going to happen to her. I didn't know what it was because she looked so nervous. Now I understand why she was nervous. Yeah. She was nervous because she said, "I've got something you need to know about." And we never know when we share this with people if they're going to reject what we're bringing them. And number one, it's a personal rejection, and you just get over that eventually because you see the good you do with the product. It's like, I'm bringing it to you. I care if you listen to me, but I don't care if you don't. It's your problem. I'm bringing it to you. And the other is, that if they reject what you're bringing to them and they don't investigate it, all we're asking people to do is investigate it. And I did because my dad was sick. That was my reason for saying, okay, tell me what it is. And she told me what stories, what it had done for her. But the other part of it is it's very sad when someone does not investigate it properly. And the reason is the person you're talking to may not be really sick. They may not be dying, but they may know somebody. They love somebody. It could be a child, a parent, a friend. And if you can't get through to this person, you don't know the person that they know. So I call this the gift chain. and we try not to have it broken. Because if it breaks, once the breakage happens, then those people that would have come from that ripple effect, from them, it stops. So anyway, I looked at it for my dad, saw that it was as safe as water. A breakthrough, unusual. Did I understand it? No, there were not as many books on it. Now, here's an excellent, excellent book for people that want the science. Redox Matters. This is an amazing book. But I saw some changes in my dad, didn't know if it was that or coincidence. He had a pretty grave issue. But then I saw things happen on other people that could not be a coincidence, like skin lesions that have been there for years, just falling off, just disappearing. I'm like, okay, this is doing something at the cellular level. And to finish it up, Debbie had told me there was an opportunity here because the company decided not to sell the product through traditional channels. Then a pharmaceutical company tried to buy it, and the patents, they would have buried it. They don't want things like this on the market. And so it's marketed through word of mouth marketing. They spend no money on advertising. They pay us. All the money that will go to advertising go to us. We tell people, they tell people, they tell people, and the company pays us for that. I had no interest in it because I had bad experience in network marketing before, but I just couldn't deny what the product was doing, Danielle. So I decided after almost a year, about 8 months, I flew out to meet the people running the company, see the FDA registered production facility. I'm like, holy cow, these people have their stuff together. And I think we were just in US and Canada then. And that's when I decided to get involved at the end of 2011. So, and I started sharing it with people. Now we're in 33 countries. I'm on the medical professionals board of the company, which is a volunteer position. That's not how I make my living. I make my living by making a difference. I just tell people about this and help them educate other people about it. And that's the other hat that I wear, the entrepreneur hat. So that's my story.
Awesome.
And I love it.
We couldn't tell. Your energy is, I feel like I've known you, gosh, for like 7 years now. And I think your enthusiasm about this gets greater and greater and greater as it goes. And it's same with me. I mean, the ripple effect we see here, the lives we get to touch, the power of the products is unbelievable. So yep. I love that these questions are pouring in. Continue to put them in the chat. I'm going to ask Dr. Silverman another question. If you could briefly share with us, look, if someone asks you, how does redox really work? Like, what is going on here? I think a lot of people struggle to simply explain it or even share with like a spouse, like what they started using. How would you tell somebody to just briefly explain what redox is?
Well, number one, I don't recommend trying to recite this book or the textbooks on this redox signaling. But I'll show you something in a second because I explain it, and all you have to do is just give this basic explanation and say, let me show you. Here's a doctor who's on the medical board of this company. He was very skeptical. His dad had amazing results with the product, and now he has explained it in a very short video. So so we call it push and play. Just play the button so you don't have to go into all this stuff, right? But bottom line is that redox signaling molecules, what's unique about this is that it's in us. Our cells make it. We just made more when we were younger. If you say that, it all kind of makes sense. If you make a lot of this when you're younger, and at puberty, you start producing less in your 20s, less in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm 61, my cells are making this much. Well, we all see what happens to our grandparents as they age. We see what happens to our parents. We see what happens to us. And when you drink this, you're raising your levels back up to when they were younger. And they're like, well, okay, well, so what does that mean? Well, do you see a lot of heart attacks in young people? Do you see a lot of diseases in young people? Well, young people produce a lot more of this because this is exactly what's in us. It's not a drug. It's not a nutritional. This is what's inside of us. They found a way to make it outside the body. And the term biohack is a term that's used a lot. I mean, you are basically, the body thinks it's younger. When you drink this, the body thinks it's younger and it functions younger. So that's the simplest way to explain it. One thing is I like to show people, well, let me show you this. Just remember gettingyoungerclub.com, gettingyoungerclub.com. There's several sites that are great, amazingmolecules.com. I put this together because I could put my simple explanation here. It's a 10-minute explanation to how the product works. There's a 7-minute one on what the product is exactly. And then there's a 10-minute one on how it works. Between that and this one here where it says not for sale, why ASEA refused to sell it to the pharmaceutical company, 16 minutes. Those three are enough to really explain quite a bit. Then if someone says, well, why does the ingredient label say it's salt and water? Watch that. You know, where is it made? There's a tour, a video tour of the FDA registered production facility. Someone says, well, what about me? I have problems with my blood sugar. Go to click that site where it said, let me go back right here where it says, what about my issue? Click that and then put in the password redox, lowercase, REDOX. That's the password. And you're here. There's 100 and some stories here, you know, and you may not, you know, if you just look at one of them here, this says that number 37, relief after 10 years of discomfort, increased energy and mental clarity, better sleep. Well, if you have a sleeping problem, maybe you want to listen to that one, right? Maybe you don't have those problems. How about this one? Restored hormonal balance, improved the monthly cycle, better energy and vitality. Maybe that's your problem. Here's my world, relief of foot discomfort, improved mental clarity, season allergies. Maybe you have an allergy problem, improvement in mother's memory and speech. Okay, so but the thing about this site is you don't have to know the whole thing. You don't have to go through it all. Just watch this real redox results overview at 7 minutes. Then come here and click blood sugar if that's your problem. It sorts through the stories and pulls up the ones that are blood sugar. Click hormone balance. Maybe that's your problem. Maybe you don't sleep well. Click sleep. Right? Tick bite. Maybe you were bitten by a tick. Maybe you got a child with spectrum behavior. Go look at these things. This is absolutely phenomenal. So it's a long answer to your question. It's in us. We produced more when we were younger. They found a way to make it outside the body, then push the button. And if someone says, well, I don't know if I really believe it, and they're about to walk away, say a little prayer that before the person walks away, as long as you have this in your pocket, the gel version of the drink, as long as you have it in your pocket, before they walk away, just say a little prayer that something in their body hurts them. Not because you're mad at them and say, oh, you don't believe me, I want you to be in pain. Just pray they have something that hurts them and ask them and hope and pray they're going to be honest. Yeah, my neck's a little stiff. Yeah, why? Why do you ask? My knee hurts, you know, whatever. Because in 10 minutes, there's a 90% chance that they are very, very interested in this. They're not walking away anymore. The chain is not about to be broken because you've got their attention. They just rate their discomfort on a scale of 1 to 10. They shake up the gel. They put it on 3 times in 5 minutes. And at 10 minutes, ask them how they feel. Watch what happens to 9 of the 10 people. It's almost a lock. It's almost 100% chance that they're going to be interested. So I liked once someone's had an experience, it really doesn't matter how it works. I don't know how this thing works. All I know is I use it and it works, right? And this, I understand how this works, how the product works, but I didn't have to understand it for my father, 12 years ago. I didn't have to understand it for him. I just had to know it was safe, and that's all I cared about. And it comes with a money back guarantee, which didn't really matter to me. But the fact is, nobody's trying to fool anybody with this stuff. It's easy to see that it works.
Awesome. Well, that was fabulous. And I think about it like signals on the cell phone. I love that you said that. A lot of us don't know how this thing works, but we know the stronger the signal, the better the conversation, the more you can actually use it for what you want. The same as with our body, right? The stronger the signal, the more it's able to do what it needs to do. So Alyssa has been gathering all of these questions that are pouring in. So I'm going to bounce over to them and we'll start addressing all of the questions of everyone here. So we have a lot of people that are just happy users of the product, curious about certain things. Josephine is asking, any idea about how it can help my friend who has lung problems?
Watch the video that I showed you, gettingyoungerclub.com, and it says, what about my issue? So you're talking about lung, right? And there's a Facebook group, another group, I know this is being streamed, excuse me, into ASEA VIP customers, which is amazing. I mean, Alyssa and Danielle, you guys did such an amazing job on this. Frequently asked questions there under guides is amazing. And in this site, but if you go to ASEA Heal Thyself or Healthy Self, go there and search lung. But here's the deal. Body's made up of cells. Lung is made up of lung cells. If my fists are healthy cells, then everything's fine with the lung, right? But let's say this is muscle cells, this is retina cells. If I have bad retina cells, let's say this is a bad cell. If it's not replaced with a good one, then I'm going to go to the doctor and say I'm seeing spots or whatever. It's like, oh, Dr. Silverman, you have retina disease. You need to do this, this, and this. If I have enough bad cells in my pancreas, I'm going to be thirsty. I'm going to go to the doctor and say I'm urinating all the time. They're like, oh, Dr. Silverman, you got a blood sugar, it's 400. You need to be on metformin. You need to take this, because it's the cells, right? If the cells are healthy, we're healthy. If they're unhealthy, then we're unhealthy. Then our organ or system is unhealthy. So whether it's lung cells, if you have enough bad cells in the lung, then you're going to have a lung problem. Give me 1 second. Let me just see what I'm seeing here. There we go. So we all have cells that die. We all have cells dying in our lung. We're made up of 70 to 100 trillion cells. Just think about that for a minute. We're made up of 70 to 100 trillion cells, right? There are tens of millions dying all the time. They have a lifespan. You know, even bone cells only last 7 to 10 years. Some cells last 2 days. That's it, right? But they're fresh cells, they're functioning, and then they start to die. The immune system gets called by the good cell. The good cell detects the problem, calls for help. The immune system gets the signal. The cells come down, kill the cell, get rid of it. I'm speeding this up, right? What's happening? But the good cell then replicates itself, and then you're healthy. Well, it's very important that the immune system gets that signal. What redox molecules do is it amplifies the signal. The more you have, the louder the signal. The immune system doesn't care if it's coming down to take care of a bone cell, retina cell, lung cell. It doesn't matter. Children don't have a lot of issues. Younger people don't have a lot of issues. And as we get older, these issues become much more common. The signaling goes down. You have less redox molecules. The signal that was help, help. We have a bad cell in the lung, help. It gets lower in the 30s, help. Lower in the 50s, help. Lower in the 80s, help. And bad cells remain. They don't get replaced with good ones. Some children have issues. Most don't. Some do. It could be very heavy on a genetic problem, could be environmental. It could be their mitochondria is not producing enough of this. So one question people say is, can kids take this? Absolutely. It's in children. It's in the fetus. As soon as we have mitochondria, we have this in us. So it is safe. And so will it help the lung issue? I cannot say it could help the lung issue. I can't say that this will help pain. I never said it before. I said, put it on 10 people who are hurting 3 times in 5 minutes, and you watch what 9 of the 10 people tell you. I never said it was going to work. We're not allowed to say that. You have to connect the dots with this, because it's not a medication. It's not a medication. That's why this book says Redox Matters, connecting the dots between redox biology and health. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, fabulous. Fabulous answer. Next question is coming from Michelle. She's saying, look, what sets this apart from other cellular health products, things like stem cell products that are on the market today?
Well, number one, stem cells don't function without redox signaling molecules. I don't know if you know that or not. We have a doctor, you can look him up, Dr. Avi Herskovitz. He served on the medical board of the company. And I asked him this. He started the San Francisco Stem Cell Treatment Center. Brilliant guy, brilliant, much smarter than me. I'm just excited. He is really brilliant. And I sat next to him at an event and I said, Avi, tell me honestly what you've seen in your practice with the SIA. And he said, David, stem cells is part of the future of medicine. I mean, the day of pharmaceuticals, the age of pharmaceuticals is going to be fading away, and it'll be something of like, bloodletting at some point and leeches at some point. And stem cells is part of it, but so is this, because once I started using this, the results I saw from stem cells was just magnified. Stem cells don't function without signaling. They need the signaling. They need to be told. They need clear signals to do what they're supposed to do. So, it's not like this replaces everything, but the nice thing about this is it's not expensive. Stem cells expensive. It's served because it's so non-specific in how it works. There's so many benefits because the immune system doesn't care what kind of cell that is. Doesn't care if it's a lung cell, retina cell, brain cell, thyroid cell, doesn't matter. If the signal is loud enough, the immune system can come down and get rid of the bad cell.
Perfect. Let me come back here. So our next question comes from Marianne. She's asking, what are the benefits of using Renew 28 for my friend who is over 70 years old? Are there any side effects he needs to be aware of so that I can let him know and he can understand what's happening?
You're talking about just using the gel?
That was the question. Yeah.
So and in the VIP customers we're streaming this when we're done. Go to the guides and go look at frequently asked questions about the gel. You guys put some great things together there. Let me tell you the only couple of negative things that could possibly happen with this, and most of them are a positive thing. The way it could hurt you. One is if you take a full bottle and you hit someone on the head with it, you could hurt them with this product. I mean, you really could. Other than that, you can't be allergic to it. It's in you. It doesn't interfere with anything anybody's doing. It's already in you. It's transparent to medication, so you don't have to worry about that. And 3, there's no toxicity. If you take too much of a medication, your liver has to metabolize it. And if you take too much more, your liver can't keep up and the toxicity starts to rise. So that doesn't happen here because this is made from saline. Your cells make it from saline. Excuse me. And so it is made from saline, right? And we can get into that. People have a question. I have a good explanation for that, an analogy if you want to hear it. But if you drink too much of it, your body turns the excess back into saline. So there's no toxicity. If you take too much of aspirin, it'll kill you. You take too much of Tylenol, it'll kill you. I'm not saying take 4 aspirin, you're going to die, but you take 50 aspirin, you're probably going to die. Every medicine will kill you. There's literally an amount that's called LD50 that tells you basically what's the amount that's going to kill you. This doesn't happen with this. So it's so safe. I just absolutely love that it's so safe. The only negative thing that can happen is a positive thing. When you drink this I'll get to the gel. When you drink this product, it raises your levels of what's called glutathione. It's your body's master antioxidant. Anybody that knows what glutathione is, if they understand it and they say, you're telling me this raises glutathione, I need it, because they understand. Most people don't know what the heck glutathione is. Read about it, what glutathione is. And by the way, that book's a lot easier to read than some of these textbooks. I mean, there are some serious books to read on redox biochemistry, but so when you raise glutathione, one of the things glutathione does is it cleanses the cells. So if you pull toxins out of the cells, you want to drink a lot of water to flush the toxins out that get released from the cells. So it's like when you get a deep tissue massage. I love that. I like when they kill me with their elbow and everything, but they're always like, here's water, here's water. So they're giving me water to drink, right? Well, imagine your whole body releasing toxins, 70 to 100 trillion cells. There's a lot of toxins coming out and you want to urinate them out. If you don't, you could have signs of detox. You could get a headache. You could get diarrhea. You could get a rash. You could have an old injury bothering you. That's like, wow, I haven't felt that in 40 years. It's your body getting rid of the toxins. Drink a lot of water. So that's the one negative thing. The other thing is people that take medication for diabetes, they should monitor their blood glucose every morning. Every day. If they take medicine. If they're diet controlled, they don't have to worry about it. But if they take something that lowers their blood sugar and they start drinking this, it's very important that they monitor their blood sugar every day. They need to be aware of what's happening because just think about what happens. Remember, connecting the dots. Bad pancreas cells not producing insulin. What if they started? What if they started producing and you weren't aware of it and you kept taking your medicine or your shots to lower your sugar? You could push your sugar too low. The gel, there's only one thing, and about less than 1% of people have a problem with this, and it dries their skin. And we don't know if it's because of the clay that's in it or the buffer. So the way they make this is, the gel is, they take the drink, they double the concentration. But when they do that, this is a little bit alkaline, not very, but a little bit. But when they double the concentration, the alkalinity goes way up, so high that it would irritate the skin. So they put a buffer in here, sodium phosphate. It's inert. These are all inert ingredients. The ingredients are only sodium chloride and water is what's in here. This is this plus the buffer plus a clay. They put a silicate in there. So when you shake it up, it turns into a gel. So it's not just pouring out like liquid. And so that less than 1% of people where they get this drying effect on their skin, they just can't tolerate it. And we don't know why. It's either the buffer or the gel. And those people, what they do is they just take the liquid and they put it in a, I don't see my nebulizer here, nebulizer or a spray bottle, and they just spray it on their skin, and they can put the liquid on because it doesn't have the buffer in there. And let me just touch on this salt and water thing. So inside your mitochondria, you got sodium chloride, which, you know, you go to the, people say, why is it made from salt and water? Our cells are filled with saline. When you go to the hospital, you get an IV bag, it's saline. You cry, your tears are salty. You sweat, it's salty. People that say it's just salt, I'm like, wake up, we are salt water. That's what's in our cells. And our mitochondria are floating in saline. And inside the mitochondria, during the production of the molecule we burn for fuel, ATP, we produce these little reductants and oxidants. And they're made from 4 atoms: sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen. Well, where do you think the body gets it from? It gets it from the saline that it's floating in. So sodium chloride is sodium chloride, H2O is H2O. The molecule is broken apart, sodium and chloride now, ions, and H2O, hydrogen, oxygen, they're recombined. They can be recombined in so many configurations other than sodium chloride and water. Hydrogen peroxide, for instance. Hydrogen peroxide is a redox molecule. It's made from 2 oxygens and 2 hydrogens, right? Well, where does it come from? It comes from the saline. It comes from breaking apart. It's like if you took a car, right, and you melted the thing down and you pulled the metal out of it. You can make anything you want out of the iron. It's not a car anymore, right? It's just molten metal. I can make a microphone out of it. I can make a pen out of it. I can make parts of my phone out of it. It's not a car anymore. And this is no longer salt and water. It was salt and water. And that's why the ingredients say salt and water.
Awesome. All right. We have tons of questions. So,
and how long are we going here? I slaughter off as much time as you want. I talk too much, but how long are we going?
We can go. I mean, I'd love to go until we get most of the questions answered. So I have a hard stop at 11,
Okay.
Hour max. So, all right. So,
well, let me go get a cup of coffee then.
So Anna has 2 questions from a friend, which is how much salt is actually in redox, and is that safe to drink? Her other question is, when drinking ASEA redox, why does it taste like chlorine if it is safe to drink?
So number one, when someone says, oh, my doctor says I can't have it because I have high blood pressure, I say, well, just have the doctor read the bottle. Okay. Can you see what it says? How much sodium is in 4 ounces? It says 125 milligrams. Okay. There's more salt. There's more sodium in a slice of bread. There's very little sodium in this. So if someone's blood pressure goes up, it is not because of sodium. If someone's blood pressure goes up, it's because of the detox. It's because the body is trying to flush those toxins out that get released. Why does it taste? It tastes different to people. Some people, it tastes like water. First time they sip it, they're like, it's like drinking water to me. The person next to him drinks it and goes, oh, it tastes like swimming pool water. And the person that tastes like water, like, really? Didn't taste like that to me. And some people taste a little bit like mild salt water. Everybody's different. The more toxic somebody is, their taste buds are a little off, and it will taste chlorine-y. And that taste goes away over time. It goes away as the person detoxes. So there is no chlorine in here. There's hypochlorite, which is a redox molecule, and it can be perceived as similar to chlorine, but there is no chlorine in it.
Awesome. That's a super common question. So I'm glad that was asked, and great explanation. Miriam is asking, what's the best way to reduce fine lines, deep wrinkles, and puffiness using the full skincare bundle, including the Renew 28? So a lot of people, I think, wonder, like, there's the Renew 28, there's the serum, like, what do I do when, what's the order? Explain to us how to use that best.
Well, the company is always improving things. So as a matter of fact, at the convention in April, what I'm about to say is going to change because they're improving it. But as the products are right now, the sequence is you clean your face with, they have a cleanser, but you can use, by the way, one of the things is the cleanser that's coming will have no fragrance in it, which is kind of nice. Everybody, half the people love the fragrance, half are like, well, I don't want any fragrance in there. So anyway, that's the one product I don't use because I don't like the fragrance. I just use soap, basis soap, but you clean your face. The next step is the gel. You shake it up, put it on, it dries. The next step is the serum. And once it dries, the next step is the moisturizer. So that's the sequence, and drinking it. My wife, Wendy also takes a spray bottle before she starts any of it. She gets out of the shower and she sprays her face, right? Sometimes I'll spray it in my eyes. And when that dries, then she starts the process of the gel on top of that. But that's the best way. The other way is to just fill up your bathtub with ASEA and just sit there and soak in it, because it gets into all of your skin cells. So I used to just put this on my face. Now I put it all over my body. You get to 61, you start seeing these little things changing on your skin. It's like, well, I got this miracle. I'm going to use it.
I know people, Miriam was asking about the body care kit, which if you don't know, that's best kept secret. It's the best way to get the gel, because you get full skincare kit and then you get the tubes of gel. So what I would say is, yeah, head to toe with this. And then the serum, really, for those of you that maybe haven't seen it, don't know what it is, it looks like this. It's for targeted areas. So on those fine lines you're asking about, Miriam, that's the best place to use that, is in the targeted spots. The gel everywhere, head to toe. All right, let me get back to the questions. So Dr. Thomas Hill is asking, how do I get other medical professionals to listen and actually do their due diligence on what this is?
Well, no offense to doctors, but we tend to be kind of rigid in our thinking, and we're trained for like big studies, big studies, big studies. I find that most doctors, unless they're open-minded and they're out of the box and they realize that, and I have good friends that are just, I've told about this for 10 years, and they're just so ingrained in the pharmaceutical brainwashing, in my mind. I mean, there's a place for medications, but they're just, that's their thing. It's like, they're lighting a room with candles, and I'm standing up in the back of the room holding up a light bulb saying, hey, look at this thing can light the room. And they're like, they're not even looking. Nope, I'm lighting candles. Nope, I'm not. I mean, all they have to do is just look and say, wow, the room's brighter over there. That's pretty interesting. How did it? But you got to get their attention. And I find that unless they're open-minded, the way you get their attention is personally. My dad was sick. I don't think I would have looked at it. I wouldn't have taken the time to look at it seriously if my dad wasn't sick. And sometimes you can guilt them a little bit. It's like, you don't know anybody, doc, who's living with discomfort in their body and taking anti-inflammatories. And you know what anti-inflammatories do. You're not supposed to take anti-inflammatories, by the way, more than 2 weeks in a row. It says it on the bottle. It says it increases your chance of heart attack and stroke. But people do it because they don't have a choice. Joint implant, medication, or live with it. They don't know there are other options. They don't know about acupuncture. They don't know about different nutritionals. They don't know about things. So I think it's hitting them personally. I shot a video. If you go to gettingyoungerclub.com, let me go back to it. Gettingyoungerclub.com. That's it. I shot one here. The one that says, who do you love? Right here. Watch that, because sometimes that's what will open someone's mind up, because in it, I basically am saying, look, your friend's bringing you a gift. You may have nothing wrong with you. You may sleep perfectly. You have perfect energy. You're the same as you were when you were 18 years old, knowing that they're saying, oh, sure, I don't sleep well, or I got this. Just look at it for someone you love. And I kind of guilt them into it. And bottom line is, with experiences trump any data. It's so much more important. A picture's worth a picture's worth 1,000 words, and experience is worth 10 million pictures. Just hope that they have something that hurts them. You get a 90% chance in 10 minutes, you've got their attention. I shot a video called Plan B for doctors. A lot of doctors, they won't admit it to you that they'd like to retire. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you how the medical system is screwing them. I mean, they go to all this time for school, and they're being abused by managed care. I'm talking about ethical doctors who are not just trying to make money. They're struggling. They don't have, it's a job. It's not a profession anymore. I mean, you go into medicine, it's a calling. It is a calling. Thank God people are in medicine. But a lot of them are like, man, I'd like to make more money. I'd like to have more time freedom. I'm killing myself. I'm going to do this till I'm 80. I shot a video, Plan B for doctors, Plan B, FOR doctors. So sometimes you can get to them by, hey, what if there was a way that you could help people? Because that's what you do. That's what you went into medicine for. What if you could help people, but have a better life for you and your family? So different ways to open a mind, but the best way is get 10. They're like, I don't believe it, I need bigger studies. I'll say, put together a group of 10 people who are hurting. I'll come over and you'll know that this works. Or if you give them a tube and they commit to do that and not just put it on a shelf, the day they start doing it on people, the day they call you and say, you have my attention, give me more information.
All right. I was just going through the chat. Thank you for that.
I see one for acne. I'm seeing these things come up. I am telling you, okay, we can't make claims. We cannot take pictures of the acne. Acne is not something that is going to put someone in a grave, but it affects the kid's psyche, right? It affects their self-image. It affects the way they talk to people, and it can carry through their whole life. So I don't say, oh, acne can be a big deal. Take pictures. Look at before and after pictures, look at galleries and take your own pictures. Well, here's what I look like today in a room where you're going to use the same camera, same light, everything, and just keep taking pictures and use it a lot. And the gel is the key. Can't claim it's going to help. I'm just saying, do it. Wash the face well, put it on, let it dry. Put it on, let it dry. Put it on, let it dry. The 3 times in 5 minutes you do for things that hurt, do that on the face. We do it many times a day. It's going to dry out a bit. It will definitely dry it out a little bit. But I want people to see changes quickly. And by the way, if you put the gel on many times, you'll start seeing a dust on the skin. And the dust is not salt. It's not the molecules. It's the clay. See, the molecules go in, but the clay gets stuck and it can't get through the skin. So just take a wet towel, just wash it off. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you. So I was trying to kind of clump some of these questions because there's a lot of questions I'm seeing with specific medical things. So someone that is a kidney patient going through dialysis, someone that has cancer and is on a lot of medications. The question is essentially, is it going to be a problem to take redox? Someone said, if I'm taking prednisone, is that basically going to negate what the redox is going to do for me? Or is there going to be some sort of interaction? Can you speak to this?
Yeah, I've never seen anything negative except for detox with this. That's the only thing. There's a couple populations of people that are a little more concerned, a little more cautious when starting this. One, it's people with cancer, right? And can't claim it helps cancer. Can't, but you know what? You don't see as much of that in younger people, do you? And they have more redox molecules, but they're more cautious because they're scared. They're very scared. That population and parents of sick children, whatever that is wrong with them, the child, the cancer patient's scared because the doctor's saying, don't do anything except for what I'm telling you to do. Because if you do what I say, then you have a 50% chance of living 5 years with your problem, right? They give you the percentages of what their protocol will be, but don't change anything. You can't do anything. So it scares people. Then they have to think for themselves and say, well, am I going to do this or not? And some people won't. And I understand that. And I respect that. I mean, they're scared, and parents are scared because they're scared. Well, my doctor says I should do this, and I don't know what this will do. My doctor doesn't know about this. And it's true. Most doctors don't. And can you get your doctor to invest? If you got your doctor to investigate it, then the doctor would say it can't hurt. That's what I did with my dad's doctor up at a very famous hospital in Baltimore that everybody knows. I went to my dad's doctor when I got him on this. My dad said, clear it with my doctor. I said, okay. I went up and he looked at it and he goes, it can't hurt. It's just salt water. I'm like, it's all I need. I don't care if you believe me, just make sure you know it's safe. And he saw the safety studies on it. So we can't make any claim it's going to help, but we know it can't hurt. It's that's what makes it so unique. It's because it's inside of us. This is not some medication or something that's been concocted in a lab that's something foreign to the body. The body knows exactly what this is. The body knows what peanuts are, but you could be allergic to peanuts, right? But you can't be allergic to this, right? That's what's so beautiful about it. And I always get, when I do Q&As, I always get the same things. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Well, I was like that person. In December of 2010, I said to Debbie, what about prostate problems? What about grave prostate problems? And she said the same thing. Does the problem involve cells? Yes. Do you see the problem usually more commonly in people as they get older? Yes. And I got it. That's when I got it. I'm like, okay, you can't claim it's going to help, but let me see the safety studies and then let's just get going with this thing because I can't hurt. I'm ready to go.
Love it. So kind of on this vein of can it hurt, there's a couple of questions in the chat that are interesting. A gentleman that had, so severe nerve issues, right? And he's asking, well, I'll just say what he's asking about. He's asking about shingles. He used the gel and it felt worse for several hours, not better. And so it freaked him out. He stopped using it. Another lady is asking about her A1C levels. They improved and then all of a sudden they got worse. And the question is this redox? Why would that maybe be happening? Can you touch on what that might be?
So to clarify, the gel made whatever it was worse?
Yeah, more pain happened. So it was like nerve pain from shingles, from the rash. Put it on there and then it felt worse.
Well, one of the things we know that the gel does, and a lab called Stevens and Associates proved that it increases circulation. So if you get an increase in blood flow when you put it onto an area, I guess there's a chance it could irritate things, just too much blood coming in too quickly. I don't know. What I'd suggest if someone had that happen, which is that's unusual, then I would try a couple things. One is try spraying the liquid on and see if the same thing happens. Because if it doesn't happen with the liquid, it's either because the liquid is half the strength or it's because the liquid doesn't have the buffer in it and the clay in it. Try that. And if that causes the problem, then just know that the body is trying to get itself back to where it wants to be. And maybe it's just an uncomfortable period. And either just drink the drink, slowly drink the drink. And then after a few weeks, try the gel again. Or you decide you're just going to live with the problem and say, I'm not going to do anything. But you know what? The stuff just can't hurt you. Now, physically, it sounds like it did hurt you and made it feel a little bit worse, but it's not going to do anything that's going to make a problem long-term worse, or maybe a transition period. What was the other question about?
It's about A1C levels.
Oh, yeah. So A1, people don't know what A1C is. It's a lot more long-term way to measure what's going on with your blood sugar, as opposed to just doing like a fasting blood sugar, blood glucose level. It's more indicative of what's been going on for over time. That's if you're on the product and you're seeing benefits anywhere, you're like, okay, it's working. And you see things like that happen over the first few months, these changes, just know that it's still a transition period. Your body is trying to get it back to normal. And I have seen people where let's say, well, I can't say this. Let's say they were using a product and they were testing their blood glucose level and it was going down. It's like, wow, this is great. Sometimes they change their habits, their eating habits based on that, because well, my sugar is good. I'm going to go have a chocolate cake. And sometimes they adjust and they over adjust. And that can have an impact, because then another variable has been thrown into the equation, which is their diet has changed. Someone who I put the gel on and their shoulders like this, they can't get past here. I put the gel on, in a few minutes they're doing this, and then they're like, look at me, look at me. I'm like, don't do that. You haven't moved your arm like that in months or years. Don't go swinging it around. You added another variable to the equation. Then the next day they go, oh, my shoulder hurts. Well, when was the last time you did that? So, I try to keep things where you keep the equation the same without so many variables, but there is an adjustment period, a transition, I don't know, there's a better word for it probably, but I would just stick with it.
Yeah, agreed. And I think with nerve issues too, sometimes like when that gets stimulated, it can, you feel it.
Yeah.
So this question is, if we keep drinking and replenishing our redox molecules with ASEA, will our body get used to it and thus reduce its own production, making us dependent upon this supplement? Good
question. That was one of my questions. No, that's called a negative feedback loop. So let's say your adrenals are producing basically cortisone, not exactly, but cortisone. And then you have something, you start taking cortisone, and they tell you when you take cortisone, don't just stop. Like if you have a horrible rash or reaction or whatever, and you take a lot of it, you're taking 60 milligrams, like my rash is better, I'm going to stop. You don't stop. You have to decrease, because when you take a lot of cortisone, prednisone, your adrenals stop producing it, because like, oh, I have so much, I don't need to produce. So it stops producing. And then if you stop, you don't have any, and you could die because you need it. You have to have a certain amount. That's called a negative feedback loop. The body stops making it because it sees you have enough. That's the beautiful thing about this. There is no negative feedback loop. So I'm 61 years old. My cells are making this much of this right now, right? Because my body must make ATP. That's the molecule we burn for fuel. And during the production of ATP, it's producing this as well. So when I drink this, my body doesn't stop making it because it has to make ATP. So it keeps doing this. So if I stop, I just go back to where I was, which is here. So that's a beautiful thing about the product. People say, do I have to take it for the rest of my life? I said, well, I don't know. Do you want to live younger, longer? Or would you like to just feel better for a few months and then say, I don't need it anymore? Well, you just go back to where you were. And that's proven in a double-blind study that you go back to where you were. And I'm 61. I mean, talk about benefits. I was not a sick person, but I play golf every day. Sometimes I play twice, and I play fast. If I play by myself, it takes me 3 hours to play 2 rounds of golf. That's 36 holes in 3 hours. I used to play golf in my 30s. I would take ibuprofen before and after because I'd be so sore. I'm almost twice that age now, and I'm not a big workout freak. I'm not. I mean, I go to the gym 20 minutes twice a week. I do crunches every morning. That's all I do. But I will never stop drinking this stuff, ever.
Okay, some specific questions. How would you address concerns regarding anti-rejection drugs and the immune system for transplant patients?
That's another amazing question that someone asked, because I had the same question. I had the exact same question. Autoimmune issues, is it safe? Just go look at the websites. People use it all the time. But then I thought, okay, well, all right, because it doesn't just amplify signal, it clarifies signal. So when the body's attacking itself, there's a bad signal. And clarification of the signal is good, so the body stops attacking itself. But organ transplants, honestly, I still don't get it. That was a concern, but I've talked to many, many, many people with transplants, and they do fine. In my mind, I'm like, that's not natural. I believe in God. I believe that everything we see couldn't have just happened. Something did this. But to take an organ out of one human being or an animal and to put it into another human being, well, God had something to do, I think, with the cells and the organs and everything. God didn't take it out of somebody and put it in somebody else. And so you take these anti-rejection medications that keep your body from attacking those cells that are abnormal to that body. They weren't in that body. They're somebody else's cells. Would this product cause real problems? And we just don't see it. And all I can say is you go to some of the websites like ASEA Healthy Self and put in search Brenda Cully, Cully. She's in Virginia. She had kidney transplant. She'll share with you what happened with her.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a great question. I had that same question too. So Levi was asking a question over on Facebook, and he said, how does the gel align with chiropractic adjustments or support with chiropractic work?
Boy, is that a pun? How does it align with chiropractic? There's a couple of chiropractors on the medical board with me, actually. And, I asked them, and I have chiropractors who are in my business, who use the product. They just love it. They say that number one, they love it on themselves because it's a tough business to be adjusting people all the time. So their backs and their shoulders and hands, they love the stuff. They love drinking it. But as far as using it on patients, the experiment that they do, I suggest they do this is, you have your patients that you see regularly. You know what you're going to get. If they're easy to adjust or hard to adjust. Have them come in like 20 minutes early and have them put the gel on several times along their back or wherever you're going to be doing it, and the muscles, and see if you notice if doing the adjustment is easier, and try it on the ones you think are a little more difficult to do, where it takes a little bit more force to get the thing to pop. But Massage therapists love it, chiropractors love it. And the gel, again, is the doorway to the bigger, more important product, which is this. I mean, this will always be, and this is patented, there's IP, it's not reverse engineerable. This is ours. And to me, all roads lead to this. If they're interested, if a person's interested in looking younger, it's like, okay, well, the road that got them to this was, wow, this is working on my wrinkles, but gee, I have hormone problems too. And I have this and I have that. I'm going to try this stuff. I just want them to be on this product. This is the most important product.
Absolutely. So this is an interesting question from Martina. She says she's over in the UK. She's using the ASEA, having wonderful effects from it. Sometimes after drinking it, she gets heartburn after about 5 minutes. She's drinking more water to make sure she's detoxing properly. And she's wondering if you have any other ideas or tips of what that might be or how to make it stop.
I honestly don't. I haven't really heard of that. I can't, usually I can think of possibilities. I don't know. I'll tell you that I had ulcers in previous life and GERD, reflux. And so I do very well, but sometimes I have I don't have ulcers anymore, but I have some of that feeling. And so I will tell you that I don't look at this as the end all be all, okay? It's called ASEA. It's not called Panacea. So in my refrigerator, I have liquid aloe. I do aloe. I do other things as well, but this is the core of what I do. So I would look into other things as well. If you tend to have that, I can't think of a reason why this would cause that though. It may, maybe you don't have symptoms of that normally. And somehow, when we go to the doctor and we have things and you get to the point where I've got a problem, it didn't just happen unless it was trauma. It was building and building and building. And then you all of a sudden hit a threshold where you have a symptom. and that's the power of this product is let's see if we can never have the problem get to that point, right? Where you have it. But I can't think of a reason for that.
Okay, thank you. A question just popped in that I think is very relevant to everybody, and then there's two kind of specifics. So this question is, how do you know how much to take and when and how to take it? Every 2 hours, 2 ounces, or 8 ounces in the morning, 8 ounces at night? How do we do this?
The simplest thing is just take 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces at night, 60 ml in the morning, 60 ml at night. Hold it in your mouth for 60 seconds. It works best that way. You don't have to, but it works best that way because it gets in through diffusion. It doesn't get into your system through digestion. After 1 week, if you're not seeing changes in what you're looking for or notice something changing after 1 week, and I find about 15% of people do, if they baselined everything in their health before they started, by day 7, 15% of people say, wow, that's pretty amazing. 85% don't. By the way, at 4 ounces a day, 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces at night, you've gone through about 1 bottle. And if you're in that 15% and say, wow, this is amazing, you may think you're doing somebody a favor and you're giving people, say, drink this, watch what happens. Drink this, watch what happens. Drink this, watch what happens. You have an 85% fail rate if you do that. That's why I never give someone a bottle unless they're using it for other things. They're gonna spray it on their skin, or they're gonna put it in their eye or something. Whatever they're drinking it, I want them to have 8 bottles that first month. And the reason I want them to have 8, you say, well, why in a month? A month is 4 weeks. And if you're drinking a bottle a week, why do you need 8? There's a money back guarantee for 30 days. At day 7, the 85% of people that don't see anything, they should temporarily bang it up to the magic 8 ounces a day. Now they're drinking 2 bottles a week. That's why you want 8 bottles the first month, because if you're in that 85% who should temporarily bump it up, if you have 4 bottles, your product is gone in 2.5 weeks and you never get your subscription, because there's a monthly subscription where you can get the product shipped every month, which is fantastic. That's why the first month you want 8 bottles, but that's the way you take it. And then if you bumped it up to 8 ounces a day, just stay there until hopefully you see Wow, this is remarkable. Then stay at the 8 ounces a day, the magic 8, for about a week, and then go to 6 and see if you're good at 6. If you're good at 6, then go back down to 4. If you're good at 4, stay there because it costs less money. You're spending half the money at 4 ounces a day. I drink 8 ounces every day. I went out west 2 weeks ago to corporate in Seattle. I knew I was going to be on planes, going to be around hacking people with flu, people with viruses, people with stuff. So I was drinking a bottle a day. The whole 32-ounce bottle. I spread it out. When I drink that much, I spread it out, right? But generally it's morning and night. Because remember, if I drink too much of it, my body turns the excess back into saline.
Awesome. Great answer. So this I don't really know what the question is here, but a child born with HIV positive.
Can't hurt. Cannot hurt to do this. And if you look at the try to be careful how to say this. There was a predecessor company, a company that had this technology. It wasn't called ASEA. There was no blue bottle. They had it. They couldn't stabilize it. They could make the product, but it would turn back into salt water within minutes. So the only people that could really see any type of benefits would be the people who could drink it in the lab. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the company. If you do a little research on it and look up what they tested the product on, it would be valuable for you to do that from what you just asked me.
Awesome.
And if you watch the Genesis video, like I said, at this video right here, let me show you this, because this is really important, everybody. Honestly, I mentioned it before, but where it says not for sale right here, this one, this story picks up where that story I just told you stopped. And so all you do is just click this and the video is right there and it plays, and it is excellent. 2 roads diverged in a wood. This is the way we feel on this company. Mm-hmm. The company took a different route. They did not sell it to the pharmaceutical company. And we were presented this and we took the road. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie The Matrix. We decided to take the red pill and see what's really going on, and not just stay in our ignorant bliss thinking we understand what's going on in the world. This stuff is a breakthrough for humanity. And I've dedicated my life to making people aware of it until it becomes mainstream. Once it becomes mainstream, it's not going to need David Silverman anymore, but I'm doing everything I can to help people get to the point where they're like, my God, this is incredible. Thank you to the person who brought it to you.
Wow. Thank you, David. There's one more that we'll get to, and it's just, are there redox signaling molecules in the serum and the moisturizer, or just in Renew 28?
There's redox molecules. These redox molecules are in the liquid, in the serum, and in the gel. The company's coming out with 3 new products, oral products, that are all redox products at the convention. Everybody that can get to convention, go to ASEAEvents.com. It's April 21st to the 23rd in Las Vegas. Haven't had a convention in 2 years since this whole virus mess. But they're releasing 3 redox products in a different form than these redox signaling molecules. But pretty remarkable. And yeah, so right now, that's where the redox molecules are, is in the liquid, the gel, and the serum.
Awesome. Well, that's the perfect note to end on. Stay tuned. Exciting announcements coming in April after the company's global convention. And of course, this ASEA VIP customer group is set up for you all to ask questions. If you have questions, you can ask anytime in the group. Just post it in there. It'll get approved. And then you have a whole community of people that can give support. I loved how people were jumping in on the chat and sharing, you have this question, I've had the same thing, I used it in this way, or I've seen this or that. We have a really amazing group of people here in ASEA, always willing to help, always happy to answer questions. So use that group, ask your questions there. And once a month, we always have a special event where we bring somebody in to give you just a little bit of a different insight about these products that you have your hands on. So we look forward to seeing you again in February. And of course, we'll talk with all of you on the VIP group. Dr. Silverman, thank you so much. And any last thoughts from you?
Well, one last thought is this: thanks for doing this. And secondly, I saw a couple of people put in the chat, where's the recording? And you can tell them where the recording is.
All right, so the recording is live in the VIP group. It's going to be under #interviews. All of the interviews we do there end up there. And you also will have the YouTube link and the Vimeo link for people that are not customers yet or are not on Facebook. You can pull that there. So give me about an hour to get those up and posted, and you'll see everything there under #interviews. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Danielle. Great being with you.
Bye, everybody.